Hey guys, if you're new, I'm Hope, and I'm going to be telling you my story today. So I've been really looking forward to making this video, so I'm so excited to finally be telling y'all. I'm just going to start at the beginning. So I was born in a town called McAllen, Texas, and I grew up in a place called Corpus Christi, which is in Texas. I have one sister, and she's 7 years older than me, but she basically took care of me at the beginning of my life. So our biological mom, she was into alcohol, so my sister had to step up when she was 7 years old and take care of me. We grew up living in abandoned houses, and that's actually how we ended up coming into foster care and being with the family we are now, because of living in abandoned houses. It's funny how God works things out. Let me start out by saying that. So we were living in Corpus Christi, and there's this girl who had a house there and a house in the town that we live in now, which is 9.5 hours apart. So it's like a great distance. And I guess she was walking by, or she just happened to look in the window and she saw that we were staying there. So she talked to our biological mom and was like, hey, I really think you should move to this other town, which is 9.5 hours away, and stay in this Covenant house. So finally she agreed, so we packed up the little things we had and we moved there. So while we were staying at the Covenant's house, she had locked me and my sister in a room and said that they were poisoning us. So the people over at the Covenant house ended up contacting DHS, and that's when our family that we live with now got a call. So they brought me, which I was 3 years old, and my sister, which was 10 years old. I think she was 11 actually. I was almost 4 and she was 11. So she brought us, our caseworker brought us to this home, and I just remember, like, it was just a lot for a 3-year-old, and so I hid behind the door and I cried. But looking back on pictures, like, we are so blessed to have the family we have now. And there is a picture of us playing on the ground with our Barbies. Like, my dad, as far as I can remember, has always been on the ground playing with us in some way. Anyways, the DHS had told our family that we were only going to stay there for one night. They just needed us a place to sleep, and then they would move us again. So what was one night turned into 16 years. My family jokes about, wow, that was the longest night. Like, that night's still going on. So yeah, one night turned into 16 years. Crazy. But awesome. I definitely have a lot of appreciation for my parents, because I was getting nutrients from my mom, if you know what I mean. And so I was having alcohol withdrawals, and so I would wake up screaming in the middle of the night, like fan in my mouth, saying like it's on fire. And also, I wasn't the nicest little kid. So, lots of respect for my parents, because that is not who I am today. They did a lot of disciplining. Moving on to 2nd grade, our very first foster home that we were only supposed to stay there for one night ended up adopting us. That has been one of the best days of my life, being adopted by this family, because I have gained a huge family that loves me and takes care of me and wants the best for me. There is a lot of adoption in my family. Like, I counted it up, and there's 10 people, 10 like cousins and uncles that were adopted when they were younger and are a part of our family. So there's 10 plus me and my siblings. There's 4 of us, so there's 14 people who was adopted within my family. Like, that is so awesome. Like, the people in my family have such big hearts, and I am so blessed to be with the family I am today. And I would definitely love to follow after their footsteps and impact a kid's life too, because adoption has changed my life. So I would love to help others and change and inspire somebody else. Today I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers. So growing up there was always 6 of us. So I had a really big family. Oh, on a side note, I thought this was so crazy. Okay. So I recently got married like a year ago, and I didn't know people did laundry once a week. Having 6 children and then my mom and dad, so there was 8 of us in the house. We did laundry every day, and for a while I was in charge of folding and putting laundry up or giving them to the people. Yeah, I just think that was like way cool that you can do laundry once a week. I didn't even know that was a thing. Anyway, going back to my story, I'm going to move on to when I was 9. I made a very huge decision. So I talked about how I was a stinker when I first came into foster care. I mean, I wasn't having withdrawals anymore, thank goodness. But I was selfish to my siblings, like my stuff. I wanted it to be my stuff. And I was not very nice to my siblings and some of my cousins. I was just kind of a stinker. But in 2nd grade, wait, what? I wasn't in 2nd grade. I was 9 years old, so I was in 4th grade. I don't know if I said that I was in 2nd grade. Did I say that? I don't know. Well, I was not in 2nd grade. I was in 4th grade, and I was 9 years old. I decided that I wanted to give my life to God and start living for Him and show His love to other people. And so I remember going to my preacher and telling him that I wanted to be baptized. And I just remember that feeling, that excitement to tell him. I told my parents first. And my dad was like, hey, I really think you should go to our preacher and tell him. So I went there. We were at church. So I went to him and I told him, hey, I want to be baptized. So the very next Sunday, I was baptized. And oh my gosh, it was just so much joy has came into my life since that decision was made. So, of course, I tried to live like God, but I did have mess ups, like everybody else, and I wasn't fully, changed from my stinker ways. Not until I was in 7th grade. I had, a breaking point in 7th grade where my mom said that somebody who I very cared about was like, hey, they said that they're not going to let their kids hang out with you because of how, mean you are. And that was, the breaking point for me, and I just bawled all the way home, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want someone to not let their kids hang out with me because I'm mean. So I totally changed from being selfish and finding joy in being mean to my sisters. I wanted to show love to them, and that's how I got to where I am today. I still mess up sometimes, daily, but I mean, that's just a part of being human. I am still growing constantly every day, and I'm so blessed to have a family who pushes me to be a better version of myself and to push me to always be kind to others. That is my goal, to always show kindness to everybody and show love and to let others know, you are loved dearly. It's crazy to think about the impact God has had on my life. I went from living in abandoned houses and a mom who was an alcoholic and having to have my 7-year-old sister, help take care of me, to moving 9.5 hours to a whole new different state and town and be put into foster care with a family that I didn't even know, which came to be the best family ever and has been a huge blessing on my life. It's just crazy to see how much God has moved in my life. And what's even crazier is God was moving in my life before Like, I even dedicated my life to God to live for Him. So I was still a little stinker when God was moving in my life and making my life better. Like, that's true love right there. It's incredible to see how much we are loved and to look back and see all that God has done. Like, I bet if you look back on your life, you'll see blessings and miracles that have been answered in your life. And it's just incredible to me, like, how much effort God puts into changing our lives for the better. Like, and sometimes it's before we even dedicate our life to God. Like, God is moving in our life before we even are trying to live for God. Like, that just blows my mind how much we are loved. If you have made it this far in the video, first thing I want to say is thank you for sticking through and listening to my whole story. Like, seriously, that means a lot that you would want to listen to me and hear my whole story. So thank you very, very, very much. And number two, I want you to know that you are so loved by me and by our Heavenly Father. Like, you are loved so much. And I just hope y'all all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day today. Or night. Or afternoon. Whichever it is. Okay, so yeah, we're going to end it here. I will see y'all next time.